Hello and welcome to the new SolidWorks webinar. In a second. Okay. So yeah, basically what we're going to do in this webinar, we're going to go through the CSWA certification roadmap. Okay, so if you're preparing for a CSWA or you just started with SolidWorks and you have, let's say your goal is to build a career in SolidWorks, then like you want to have this certification. So this is the first step. There's also professional one. So what are we going to do? We're going to cover, how to go from beginner to certified SolidWorks designer in the fastest and most reliable way. Just one second. Let me check if everything is okay. Okay. And then at the end, also, I'm going to start after this webinar with a weekend bonus for the SolidWorks Pro Accelerator. I'm going to just announce that bonus and you're going to see what's inside. So let's get started. So what are we going to do today? You're going to learn exactly what you need to pass SolidWorks certification associate exam, even if you complete beginner. Okay, because I have students who pass this exam literally in the first week or in the first 2 weeks after after going from absolute zero, like not knowing anything in SolidWorks. So we're going to cover what to study, right? We're going to show you what skills you need and what tools you need to know for a CSWA certification. You want to know how to practice, right? What are the effective strategies that can save you a lot of time? How to avoid failing. We're going to cover the common mistakes so you can prevent them. And also, we're going to cover the most efficient path to the certification. Okay, so by the end, you will have a clear path to reach CSWA level efficiently. Sorry. So now why this matters in 2026. So this is more than certificate, right? Because it proves that you have the skills that employers want, right? So CSWA doesn't just prove that you know tools. It proves that you have the skills, like for example, modeling expertise, right? That means that you can model correctly and not just click tools. You know design intent. So what it means design intent? It means that you understand how to create a model when you later change something that doesn't break, right? So you have like intent in designing. You have the assembly skills. You can build assemblies without errors. That when you replace some part, that there is no errors or that assembly doesn't break. And also you know the professional workflow, right? That means which tool I need to use first, which tool I need to use the second one, the third one, fourth one, and so on to build your model on the fastest and the most efficient way, right? So that certificate proves that you know all of these things because you can't pass this exam if you don't know these things, right? So this is what separates someone who know how to use SolidWorks from the hobby users. That's why it matters in 2026. Now, who is this for? This is for anyone who is preparing for the engineering jobs, right? So, look, if you want to just use SolidWorks for yourself at home, then you don't need to take SolidWorks certification exam, right? But if you want a job where you want freelancing project and you want to apply for this, then you need this. So whether you're a beginner or you're an intermediate user of SolidWorks, or you plan to make a transition in the career into CAD design, right? Maybe you are in engineering field or maybe not in engineering field and you want to get into engineering field like CAD design, then also this is for you. Also those one who want just certification as a proof of skill, right? And anyone who wants to outcompete hobby users. Now, what are the common myths about CSWA, that you need a lot of years of experience, which is not true. Like I said, I know, I have students literally pass this after a few weeks going from absolute zero, right? So it's not like you need like a lot of experience. You must know advanced tools. No, you like CSWA requires to know basic tools. Okay. You need expensive course. No, you can pass by watching random tutorials. Very difficult. You're gonna have to practice a lot by yourself if you're gonna go through random tutorial. Um, and those one who actually fail, they fail because they practice the wrong way, right? So this is what we're gonna cover. Why most people fail? Because they focus so much on learning the tools and not a workflow. Because this is really important because when you have the CSWA exam, you're gonna have to create a first model, and then you're gonna have to change something in the second task, then change something in the third task. And each time you'll have to calculate your mass or center of the mass. And if your model is not built in the right way, it's gonna break and you're gonna get, you know, different mass, you're gonna get wrong mass, you're gonna get wrong center of the mass. That's why you need to know the workflow, right? You need to know which tool I use first, which sketch I start first with, and have in your mind already a workflow. People rely on random tutorials because, like YouTube tutorials, random tutorials, they just give you the tools, right? They don't give you the workflow. Also, what you have to do, you have to practice under the time pressure. That's a big difference. One thing is knowing how to do this, how to solve these tasks when you have unlimited time at home. The other thing is, okay, I'm limited with time and I need to, finish this in 3 hours. So you have to practice this to get experience. No feature planning, right? Feature planning and also feature tree organization. So that means when you see the task, you should know in your mind already, okay, I'm going to do this first, this second, this third. I'm going to use this feature, this feature, this feature. Okay. No exam style parts. So you never practice on the exam sample, right? If you don't practice on the exam sample, then this is going to be like the first time something you're going to see these type of the questions and you're going to be confused. You're not familiar with the drawing standards, right? So you must know the drawing views or in SolidWorks, right? Because you don't need to create drawing views, but you're gonna have to read these drawing views and you're gonna have to recognize them. Okay, so those are the most common mistakes. And if you fix this, like if you pay attention to these mistakes, you're gonna be successful then. So here's the exam format for 2026. It's 3 hours exam, 70% passing score minimum. Okay. And the key focus is on accuracy and speed, right? So you must be accurate because you're going to have to calculate certain properties like volume or mass or center of the mass. And that's why you need accuracy. Question types. So what kind of questions you're going to have there? You're going to have single part modeling, right? So this is majority of the exam where you're going to have to create one part and then you're going to have to modify this part later, right? Then, as I said, editing, right? You're going to have to edit. You're going to have to change some dimension. You're going to have to add some feature. You're going to have to delete some feature. And then they're going to ask you, okay, now calculate the mass again, right? Which is the third one. You're going to have to calculate mass, right? Dimension or weight, or you're going to have to measure some dimension. You have to know how to create simple assemblies. So you have to know with standard mates. That's concentric, coincident, parallel, perpendicular, and so on. Also, you're going to have to recognize all of the drawing views, right? Because you don't have to create drawing views, but you have to recognize them and say, okay, this is the section view, or this is auxiliary view, okay? And yeah, you're gonna have multiple choice answers, and you're gonna have to choose. No, essential skills. So here are the 5 categories of the skills that you need. You need, the first one is foundation, which is sketching, right? And the first thing that you have to pay attention is to fully define sketches, right? That means when you create a sketch, before you add dimensions, start with relations, right? Whether maybe some lines are equal or parallel, right? Or perpendicular, or some points are on the vertical line and horizontal line. So always go with relation first and then add dimensions. And you add relations, dimensions, and then you want to make sure that your sketch is fully defined. And you're going to see in the SolidWorks, you're going to have there at the bottom, you have fully defined or under-defined sketch. When you have fully defined, then you can use this sketch to build a 3D model. So that's the second step. Second skill, part modeling, right? You have to understand this, like basic tools like extrude, revolve, sweep, loft, and fillet, chamfers, circular pattern. And also you have to know how to plan these features, right? Okay, first I'm going to start with extrusion of this. Then I'm going to do the revolve. Then I'm going to do this pattern. Then at the end, I'm going to add this fillets or chamfers, right? So you have to know in your mind how you're going to actually perform this, which is related to number 3, design intent, right? You have to create a model when you later they're going to ask you change this dimension, that your geometry will not get messy, that you'll be able, that your model will stay stable, right? And in order to have the good design intent, you have to know which dimensions are main one important and which one are not important. And what I mean by this is which are the global dimensions that define the contour of your model, right? And which one are not. And you always start with this main one on the sketch. And then later when you change this, it will not get messy. Also, you have assemblies, standard mates. This like coincident, parallel, angle, perpendicular, concentric, right? Those are just standard mates that you have to know. What is very important with assemblies, that you always have to insert them on the right way. Like you have to always first define your coordinates system of the assembly and then insert the first part right in the coordinate system. And you have to fix your part. Because if you don't do that, then you will not know where in the space, in the assembly file, right, in that 3D space there, is your part. And when you have to calculate center of mass, you will not get good results. And then we have drawings. You're going to have to recognize different views, right? They will not ask you to create drawings. They will not ask you to create views, but they will give you like the views. And then you have to recognize, okay, this is alternate position view. This is detail view. This is section view. This is isometric section view, and so on. So these are the skills that you need, basically. Here's just a tool mastery checklist. Sketching and basic modeling tools like extrude, boss, base, extrude, cut. That's like the basics. Like you can do a lot of with these two tools: revolved boss, revolved cut, pattern, linear circular, shell, right, where you take the material out and create like a box, like a shell. Chamfer, fillet, mirror as well, right? Mirror is very important. Probably you're gonna have always mirror, where you're gonna have to mirror something, and then later you're gonna have to change this. And if you use mirror, then everything's gonna be easier, right? So this is when it comes to the sketching, basic modeling, and advanced modeling assemblies. Reference planes. Know how to efficiently use create planes for your sketches. Okay. Also, mass properties. The one thing about a mass property is when you calculate mass properties, like center of the mass, make sure you know relative to which coordinate system you're calculating. right? When you go to the mass properties, you can change their coordinate system, whether it's part coordinate system or some coordinate system that you created by yourself. And also simple mates, as I mentioned, coincident, concentric, parallel, and also you must be able to read drawing views. Okay. And this is the most important part, which is workflow. So before building any part, answer these six questions to ensure efficient modeling and higher scores. The first one is, which phase do I start from, right? So that's the most important thing. When you start a model, on which plane am I going to start, right? You have three planes in SolidWorks that you can start: front, right, top. And you have to choose the first one. So based on the drawing they're going to give you, you'll have to see, okay, I'm going to start from this plane, because that's going to, if you miss that, then later when you're going to calculate center of the mass, you're going to get wrong answers. Then you have to figure out, okay, what is the what are the main dimensions, right, of this model, and you start with that, because based on that, you're going to identify which features do you have to use, right? Whether I'm going to use revolve for this or I'm going to use extrude for this. And also, which is very important, that's going to probably be on the exam always, is, do I build symmetrical or asymmetrical, right? So you're going to have some symmetries in your model. And then you want to use mirror, right? That's why it's very important to recognize when there is a symmetry or not. Then the fourth one is, where should I place reference geometry? So what is the reference geometry? This is your plane, right? So where I'm going to put my new plane, when you create a new plane for sketches, or when I'm going to put my axis for the revolution, for example, revolve boss tool. So this is very important, because based on this will also affect later when you change some dimensions, right? It will affect more differently based on where you put your plane. Then which feature must be early, right? You have to identify the sequence. Okay, which feature are start, first one, second one, third one, and so on. And then also what feature must be last, right? And usually when you have like last features, you're gonna go with like chamfers, fillets, right? All of these features that don't really affect the structure of the model. They're mostly for the design. So when you have holes, fillets, chamfers, you're gonna add these features at the end. Okay, so that's very important. So yeah, this is the workflow like that you want to follow. So ask yourself these questions, and yeah, then you're gonna have the best workflow, and it's gonna give you stable models. Um, so here's the proven exam practice strategy. Um, so basically, here's the typical part patterns, right? You start with a boss base, then you have some cut, then you're gonna have to modify feature, then you're gonna have to use some patterns, right? Or you're gonna have to add some revolve, then you're gonna maybe also have to extrude something and also pattern. Or you're gonna also have to add some shell, some ribs, and some fillets at the end, right? So basically, these are the features categories. These are the base one, and then you continue with this one and this one, right? So basically, you have like a extruder boss base, then you have revolve, patterns, and then at the end you have shells, ribs, fillets. So when you practice for the exam, like if you practice on your own, work in the time blocks, 10-15 minutes, like always time yourself, okay? Because you want to simulate exam pressure. Also check your mass properties often and save your model often. So if something goes wrong, you can always have saved model, right? And just try practice, building from scratch parts, the similar one that are in the exam, and try to see, okay, try to practice that design thinking that we mentioned before, and asking yourself the questions, which features I use, on which plane do I start, and so on. Now you can have the mistakes within 1% because you're not going to get the exact number when you calculate the mass. But like, if you really miss something, you're going to get errors immediately or wrong results. Now, how much time do you need to prepare for this? It really depends on your experience. Like, I have students that start SOLIDWORKS from the zero, and in the first 7, 10 days, they pass the exam. Because this is not like the very difficult exam. Okay. So, but let's be realistic. Not for everyone that's going to be enough. Let's say you don't have a lot of time, like 4 to 8 weeks to reach CSWA from absolute zero. I'm talking from absolute zero, like you never touch SolidWorks. If you already have some experience, you can do it in a few weeks, right? Even sooner. And this is if you practice 15 to 30 minutes per day. Because CSWA is not difficult, it's a structural problem, right? Um, Here is the like 7 proven paths to CSWA certification. Like, learn the core tools that we mentioned, learn the design workflow, right? Which tool comes first, like this design thinking, second one, third one, and so on. Practice on the exams that are similar to the real exam, like on the parts. Time yourself to practice on the pressure. Study the exam questions, right? The format. So you're familiar with the format of the questions. Build exam style parts. Build similar parts from the scratch on your own. And then once you go through this, just take the exam. Uh, no, why 2026 is the optimal time? Because here's the thing: the most the number one reason is AI, right? Like, I just experimented with AI, and it can create simple models, right? Hey, create this box, create this drawing view, create add fillets, and AI can do that already. Now imagine in 3, 4 years, AI will be able to do all of these basic things, repetitive tasks, and so on. And if you know only how to do these basic things, if you know only how to use tools and you don't know the workflow, you don't know design intent, like, there is no job for you, literally. But if you have design intent, if you have design workflow, like, you know when to use which tool on the most efficient way, on the fastest way, um, how to edit part, right? And all of these things, then this AI cannot do, right? That's why when you go through this exam and you pass this exam and also CSWP, what's going to happen is you can't pass this exam if you don't know design workflow, right? And this is something that AI cannot replace. And also, when you have these certifications, this is something that make you stand out on the market because they are official SolidWorks certification. These are not just some random certifications, right? And employers actually recognize this conversation as something that's valid. So yeah, that's why I want to have this. No, what is this is pretty much it about this. So yeah, do you have any questions about anything about a CSWA and how to pass or the exam or anything I cover here? So you're gonna have any questions, you can always you can send me an email. It's gonna be the fastest way. Uh, now I'm gonna give you, as I said, I'm gonna start my bonus for SOLIDWORKS Pro Accelerator from today till the Sunday, actually till Monday. So in SOLIDWORKS Pro Accelerator, to show you what is the bonus. So basically, let me just open this. So the SOLIDWORKS Pro Accelerator, we prepare you for a CSWA, CSWP, but we cover much, much deeper, right? We have cover all the SOLIDWORKS essential tools, sketching, part design, assemblies, drawing, advanced tools like configurations, advanced assemblies, advanced part design, and also full CSWA preparation, CSWP preparation. Then also full drawing course, how to create drawings, to ready for manufacturing. Then also advanced sketching tools, evaluation tools, how to compare models. There are tools in the SOLIDWORKS that you can use how to compare two models, right? Those are evaluation tools. Surfacing tools, sheet metal tools, and then also how to create real life images from your model. This is rendering. And animation to create animation videos. And also we give the lifetime access to the community where you can ask any questions. And also when you join, you get a personalized roadmap video from me. This is where I create a custom plan specifically for your situation, how to get from where you are to where you want to be on the fastest way. And all of this, you get lifetime access. So any upgrades, updates, you get it later for free, right? It's self-paced. You go on your own time, no deadlines, move your own pace. But also what I'm going to do, I'm going to add bonus for people who join this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 2 bonuses. It's going to be bonus pack. Bonus number 1 is going to be 3-month SOLIDWORKS SOS hotline. So what it means, you're going to get 90 days private video feedback from me. So that means if you're stuck at anything, like you build a part, you practice for an exam, you build your own project, whatever it is, and you're stuck at something, you send me and I send you the video showing what is the problem or how to build certain part if you don't know how to build. And you have 90 days access to this where you can send me the part and I send you the video, right? Fixing this part or showing you how to create this model. And also bonus 2 is you're going to have one-on-one SOLIDWORKS accelerator session with me. So what that means, one-on-one session like this, where you can ask me anything or we can work on your specific problem or prepare you for the exam. That's going to be one session, one-on-one. And you can take these once you enroll whenever you want, right? And these are the bonuses that will be completely for free for those who join this weekend. So basically, you're going to get all of these courses. Also inside, you have 60 plus exercises, 50 plus examples, and lifetime access to all of these things. So basically, this is the community. I can show you. And you can also access all of the courses here, but also you're going to access all of the courses here. So let me show you. So also have all of the courses here, all of the modules and all of the lectures that you're going to get a lifetime access to this. So this is it. If you have any questions about anything of this, you can send me on email. It's going to be the fastest way. Or yeah, on the email will be the fastest way. And yeah, this is pretty much it. This recording will be available for the 24 hours. So if you want to check out this recording, you'll be able to access it for 24 hours. After that, I'm going to take it off. Okay. So yeah, if you don't have any questions, this is it. And then we're going to see each other with a new webinar probably next week. Okay. See you then. Bye.